Hey, what is up you guys? You're watching Team APS, Paul here, and in today's video, I want to talk about token cards, because I think this is a really interesting conversation that we've kind of been having over the past year or so since the introduction of link monsters. So, as you guys know, link monsters are largely generic monsters to summon. That is to say that most of the time you can just kind of use whatever monsters you have to summon them out to the field. Whereas Xyz monsters took two monsters at the same level and you couldn't use tokens to make them, and Synchro monsters could use tokens but they had to kind of add up to a very specific level and you had to have a tuner. Link monsters oftentimes don't have those restrictions, and we've seen where that can get extremely exploitable with cards like FIREWALL Dragon that have outright no restrictions, and similar monsters that maybe just take like 2 or 3 to summon, and even if it needs to be an effect monster, you can oftentimes just use token cards to make something like Link Spider, because it just takes a normal monster and tokens are considered normal monsters, and then use the Link Spider as the effect monster material requirement for something like Borlo Dragon, right? The problem here is we've seen more and more token cards get banned. We finally lost Blackwing Gofu because it summoned itself from the hand and then got you 2 free tokens. And that wasn't even a normal summon, it had become a staple in pretty much any deck that needed to use Link monsters. One Gofu could easily equal a Mrs. Radiant, or a Decode Talker, or even lead to cards like a FIREWALL Dragon. And so, it ended up getting banned. It actually got limited at first, and now it's just outright gone. In addition to that, we've also lost cards like Grinder Golem because it was an extremely exploitable card. You special summon it to your opponent's field, you get 2 tokens, you can use your tokens, make a Cosmic Magician, bounce Grinder Golem back to the hand, then summon it again because it was kind of designed before those hard once per turn clauses. You get 2 more tokens and then you can use those 2 tokens and make more like Link monsters. In fact, you know, there are new Link monsters coming out that might make that even more exploitable. So we don't know if something like Grinder Golem might eventually get banned. And even now, there are token cards that are legal, but a lot of people aren't sure if these token cards will stay around. I want to talk about each of these a little bit. So the first one is Scapegoat. Scapegoat has long been a staple card in Yu-Gi-Oh! It fell off for several years after, you know, kind of the game sped up to include more like synchro summoning and Z summoning, and tokens weren't really as useful for that. But recently, it's kind of back in vogue because you get to summon 4 free tokens. Now, the card has some disadvantages that we'll talk about in a minute, but you have to consider 4 free monsters effectively means a free FIREWALL Dragon, which, like we said before, has no summon requirements. It just takes 4 monsters. And also the tokens can become Link Spiders, which can lead to any Link monster. And we've seen, you know, OTKs pop up from this card. Now, like I said, there are weaknesses to it. You can't summon any other monsters the turn you activate Scapegoat, which means that it's something that you'll have to set when you go first, and then at the end of your opponent's first turn, you'll flip Scapegoat, get your 4 tokens, then on your turn you get to use them. So there's a bit of a balancing aspect to it, but at the same time, Scapegoat can effectively lead to a free any Link for, right? Borlo Dragon, for example, which can out pretty much any monster and is pretty difficult to deal with himself. Saria Skull Dread, or aforementioned FIREWALL Dragon, Decode Talker, and now we're getting more and more powerful Link monsters, things like Summon Sorceress and the Nightmares are coming into the picture. So Scapegoat becomes kind of a 1-card combo starter, with its only real weakness being that it's a little bit slow. But in a lot of deck profiles I watch, especially from large events like YCS's, a lot of people are, you know, they're taking this in all kinds of decks, right? You can run it in Invoke, you can run it in, you know, any Nightmare hybrid deck. You can kind of just take it in whatever you want to. And most people outright say it probably needs to get limited or banned. I don't know that that's the case. I mean, I like Scapegoat as a card, and I feel like in a vacuum, it is not a problematic card, but Link monsters really make it exploitable, and it might go. The next token card is Phantom Skyblaster. So this is one that's gotten a lot of popularity recently because in the Sky Striker deck, as long as you have this card and a copy of the Hornet Drone spell, you can actually OTK your opponent. You can put 8,400 damage on the board with Shizuku, Flame Administrator, and Decode Talker. I believe it's 8,400 damage when they're all out on the field. And that's really deadly. I mean, all things considered, this is the type of card that you kind of can read it and tell where there'd be a problem, right? Especially now that we have a 6th zone on the board, it's actually really easy to summon something like Phantom Skyblaster when you have a Link monster and then 1 other monster in the field. Then when you summon Phantom Skyblaster, you can get 3 free tokens and completely fill your field up. and then poof, the tokens get to be used for anything you want. They even have a different name than Phantom Skyblaster, which makes them easy to use for nightmare summons, for example. Now, this card, like Scapegoat, has some weaknesses. It's not a searchable card, so it doesn't have like an archetype really that it gets to like abuse. But still, that's a lot of tokens, and those tokens can be used offensively, they can be used defensively. It's a card that is it's picking up steam, and people are wondering, is this the type of card that needs to get limited or banned? Is it the token's fault? Is it, like the card's fault, or is it like Link monsters, right? And then there's another one, number 42, Galaxy Tomahawk. Now, this is a rank 7 Xyz monster, and you can summon it with just any 2 level 7s. You detach 2 materials from it, and then you summon as many tokens as you possibly can to unoccupied monster zones. If you summon it in the extra monster zone, it actually will get you 5 tokens if there's nothing else in the field. That's even more tokens than Scapegoat, and it's a more proactive card. You can summon this on your first turn, get 5 free tokens, and then start linking them into things like Cleafort Genius. You can use Tomahawk and one of your tokens, make Cleafort Genius, and then use the rest of the tokens to make Link Spiders, or kind of whatever else you need. And we've seen some really insane plays result from that. Now, the weakness there is that you do have to be able to make a rank 7 Xyz monster. Not all decks get to do that easily, but if you have cards like Destrudo or cards like Supreme King Gate 0 with Odd Eyes Meteor Burst, that's like one really easy way to summon this. But the thing is, decks are gonna find ways to make this efficiently if it exists, and that's a lot of free tokens. So what's kind of cool here is we recently got a leaked OCG ban list. We don't know if it's real, but it looks like it's believable. And in that ban list, number 42, Galaxy Tomahawk, is actually banned. So this might be something that we'll see soon in the TCG. And the last card I want to talk about is one that's not, I guess, as prominent, but that's Blackwing Steam the Cloak. So whenever it leaves the field, like for a Link summon, you get a token in its place. And then when it's in the grave, you contribute a monster to special summon it back to the field. Now you can only use that once in a duel, but the token summoning effect when it goes to the grave is not once per turn. So effectively you can like summon Blackwing Steam the Cloak, use it as Link material, get a token that you can use for whatever you want, then tribute a monster, it could be the token, it could be something else, and summon Steam again, link with Steam again, it leaves another token, and then any other time you're able to special summon Steam from the graveyard, then poof, right? You can actually use that effect again. I'd say it's the least popular and least exploitable of these token cards, but it still exists. And those are just the 4 kind of major token generating cards. There are others and people have found uses for them, but I think that all in all, this just kind of goes to show tokens are a dangerous and exploitable part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. But the question is, what's the problem here? Is it really the token generating cards, or is it the Link monsters? And I'm kind of led to believe the latter. Because in a vacuum, none of these token generating cards are a problem. And what kind of sucks about a lot of them is they were designed before Link monsters were designed, before Link monsters were released. No one was playing Grinder Golem for years. And Scapegoat, even that, I mean, people weren't really playing it. Blackwing Gofu and Steam were just like Blackwing only tech cards, if that. Blackwing decks really hardly even used some of them. And now we've got Link monsters and people are just rushing to find ways to abuse these cards, but these cards weren't designed to be abused by Link monsters. So it kind of sucks to think that, a lot of these cards are probably gonna end up limited or banned because of Link monsters. And that's kind of where I wanna pass the question off to you guys. What do you think is the problem? I mean, do you think that we should be banning these token generating cards? On one hand, it's not a bad thing. I mean, it means that Link monsters get harder to abuse, and because most of these token cards weren't played outside of Links anyway, most decks aren't gonna suffer from it. It's not like, a deck that suffers when you hit something like Emergency Teleport with Super Quants, for example. These are cards that largely weren't being played. No one was playing Phantom Skyblaster, no one was really playing Galaxy Tomahawk. But at the same time, it's like, even if the tokens go, then it means, well, can we release more token cards in the future, or will they just always be a liability? Should we really maybe just be focusing on banning cards like Firewall Dragon? Or, as most people would probably say, should we just get rid of Link monsters altogether, but it's not happening. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of the thing. I mean, are token cards really that broken? Are they the problem, or are Link monsters the problem? And how do you deal with it? You can't ban all the Link monsters, and a lot of them you can't even really limit them. Like, nightmares are kind of the new thing, and you can't ban those all. So do you just have to ban token cards? And is it okay if you do that? That's kind of the conversation I want to have with you guys. So let me know down in the comments. Those are my opinions on it. I don't think that token cards are the problem. I think that links are. But let me know, how do you feel about token generating cards? Do you think that we will see more and more of these cards getting banned as time goes on because they're just too exploitable? And do you think that that's the right approach for Konami to take? It's an interesting conversation. I don't think there's like a right or wrong answer, but it's very fun to talk about, and we'll definitely be seeing what happens after the summer when, you know, Summon Sorceress becomes legal and eventually Crystal Needle Fiber probably comes out. So the tokens are gonna be getting more and more out of hand. I mean, we've already found OTKs with what we have, so sucks to think about it, but these cards will probably go. Alright, that's it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully it just brought an interesting question to mind. Like I said, let me know down in the comments. I want to kind of talk about tokens, see what people's thoughts on these cards are. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Hit the notification bell and check out my other discussion videos. And I think that's going to be it. So follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter. And help me get to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. That'd be a lot of fun. And see us at Nationals. We're going to be there too. Okay, we've gone on long enough. I'll see you guys in the next video.